Hi folks, welcome to Tim's Project Car, where I demonstrate that you can build a car in an old tool shed like mine. I always try to share what I've learned along the way to make it easier for others to succeed. So please like and subscribe and enjoy the video. Thank you. Here I am doing some cleaning up on the engine before I put it back in. I've got the valve covers off, of course, and doing some cleaning on it. I'm going to paint it black again because that's the original color of the engine, because it's a good wrench motor originally. There are some changes on it. You can see I got roller tip rockers there, which is really not a big deal, but it has them. Has a cam kit in it, which is it's a summit grind, so this will be a test on the lifters breaking down, won't it? Because it's a cheapy grind. It's 228 at 50 on a 112 lobe separation, which is really conservative for a street, 480 lift. The heads on it are 305 heads, and I have Mr. Gasket steel shim gaskets, so that gives it in the neighborhood of 9 3/4 compression. I did some buttering on the exhaust ports. The shaping is a little bit better than before. Mostly cleaning out casting. You know, there's a lot of flashing and casting imperfection in some of these old heads. And also on the intake side, I was going to do similar type work, but then the ski jumps were so bad that you would have been eliminating the whole bottom cut by the time you got the ski jumps worked out. So in order to get those to work decent, I had to put some epoxy in there. Now the nature of doing epoxy is extreme. You're either a hero or a zero, because either it flows good and you make power, or the epoxy comes out and destroys the engine. So I took a chance on that, and I don't think I took that much of a chance. I think it's going to work well, but that's what it is. It's a Performer EPS intake. Okay, I got a few pictures here. They're pictures of the inside of the engine. The first of which is of the intake port where I put in some epoxy. And it's not probably the best picture, but it is something. You can see that I brought in the epoxy up close to where the seats are, and then that was about it. I left it rough, and so as to promote fuel mixture. And also the short side is cleaned up and it's smoothed out. I didn't add any filler there, only around where the low spots were to eliminate the ski jumps. And then I got to the exhaust side. The exhaust side, I wasn't real aggressive. I just cleaned up casting imperfections and flashing, and then I rounded the short side to give it a little bit better transfer. And then here I'm showing the casting number of the heads. They're just common heads from the 70s that came on 305s and as some other pedestrian engines. They're not high performance, but I think they'll work good for this purpose. Okay, this is a distributor to my motor. I'm going to demonstrate how you set it up when you're doing your first start. Now I have the cap just set on here the way it goes. This is the number 1 post. And here I've drawn a line that's very close to the middle of the number 1 post. It's hard to get it exact, but actually for initial start it doesn't have to be exact. But then what you do is you put your motor at top dead center for number 1 cylinder, which means both valves are closed on the number 1 cylinder, and the piston is all the way to the top. That is 0. And then you put your distributor in so that the rotor is pointing right at that. That's where you start. And then the next thing you do is, I'm going to turn the rotor instead of the distributor because it's locked in the vise, but you turn the distributor so that the rotor is 3/16 to the right. B is close to 10 degrees advance if the distributor is functioning right. Okay, I wrote this down so that you guys could have some notes to work with. So what I started with is I figured out the rotor diameter according to the pins on top is 4.33. This gives a rotor circumference of 16.3. This is all in inches. Now you divide that by 720, you get 19 thousandths or 18 yada yada yada. 10 degrees is 189 thousandths. 3/16 is close to that. Okay, so if you're using a tape measure or a rule. Okay, now the reason I use 720 is because one rotation of the rotor represents 720 degrees, because the distributor turns half as fast as the crankshaft. It's a 4-stroke engine. And so this is back to my original spiel where you find TDC, both valves closed on 1. You put your distributor in, you point it at 1 as close accurately as you can. You turn the distributor counterclockwise, 3/16. This will get you close to 10 degrees initial timing. And so the motor should start nicely this way. So if you're doing a new cam, that's going to help you because you won't have to deal with the cranking and the backfiring and all of that. So there it is.